Today, our webinar, we will be discussing careers in data analytics and visualization. Our speaker today is Andy Catlin. Andy is a serial entrepreneur in data analytics and data science who has co-founded several successful startups, including Citygate Hudson, Metrics Reporting, and Mad Dog Data Science.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you all for being here. My name is Andy Catlin. I'm the program director of Yeshiva University's brand new program, Masters of Science in Data Analytics and Visualization. And our program prepares you for and helps guide you to a high impact and engaging career in data analytics. And courses are available both in our Midtown campus and online.
Awesome. All right, Andy. So what exactly is data analytics?
Okay. So let me start with this diagram, which is from a book by Thomas Davenport. And Davenport writes for Harvard Business Review and Harvard Business Press. So he's someone who, when CEOs and CIOs want to get a handle on trends in analytics, they turn to him. So this is, I think, pretty important stuff from a book that he published a new edition of in late 2017. And I think the way that he partitions analytics out is very helpful. Starting at the bottom, descriptive analytics, which is also sometimes called business intelligence or performance analytics, is really about using historical and current data. And you often are working with key performance indicators and dashboards. You may create derived measures that allow you to do important things like relative contribution and year-over-year percent change, things that really can help make organizations better. Moving up the value scale, predictive analytics is about using past data to predict the future. Prescriptive analytics is about specifying optimal behaviors and actions, how to make the best decisions, often around things like logistics. Probably the biggest prescriptive analytics project ongoing right now is UPS's Orion project, and they've just spent $500 million to optimize the routes for their drivers, their 55,000 drivers. And the payback on this is reported to be $300 or $400 million a year, which is a terrific return on $500 million. It's also really worth noting, and UPS has over 1,000 people working in advanced analytics, but the bulk of their spend in making this route optimization project happen is change management. It's even when we come up with the best ideas, it's not enough. You have to be able to get the organization to change. So that's why we're not just analytics, we're also explanatory and persuasive visualizations and stories to go with it, and practicing effective presentations. The highest up is autonomous analytics, and this encompasses things like machine learning and artificial intelligence, which are very much hyped buzzwords right now, but also very important, notably things like self-driving cars and trucks. I'm often asked, what's the difference between a data analyst and a data scientist? And 5 years ago, a data analyst would focus on descriptive analytics, and a data scientist would focus on prescriptive analytics and predictive analytics. But now, because of improvements in the underlying frameworks of software, things like Pandas and Spark and scikit-learn, and the factoring down of infrastructure and cloud computing, it's easier to do this work in the past, so that people who are doing what I call advanced analytics, which is what our program is about, are doing descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, and a little bit of machine learning. And data scientists are really in the upper three quadrants. Okay.
Yeah, great. So can you explain a little more what do data analysts do exactly?
Great. So my favorite definition, which came from Google and actually in a different job description at Google, non-standard job description there, is that data analysts shape business outcomes by performing data analysis. So the reason that we do data analysis is to shape business outcomes. And when I say business outcomes, it could be for a for-profit organization, it could be for a venture capital firm, it could be for a nonprofit, a foundation, an NGO. It's just helping organizations get better outcomes. And next, Val.
Mm-hmm.
This is a slide from a book called Design of Business, and it shows that there's a general movement from not really understanding how things happen or how decisions are made or why processes work they do, to heuristics, and then from heuristics to algorithms. And another way to frame the work of data analysts is to think of it in terms of using data to make better decisions. And very often, these decisions are about improving or automating either existing processes or new processes or products or services. And algorithms are, when they can replace heuristics, can make an organization much more effective. So data analysts are highly valued in today's organizations. Valerie?
Great. Where do data analysts work?
Okay. I didn't have a really good, clean answer for this. I see it as a multi-dimensional answer, which is part of what we do, and multi-dimensional analysis is part of the work that we do. And I think it's good to look at it separately across four orthogonal dimensions. The first one is that you could choose to work inside of an IT organization, or you could be embedded inside a department, like a marketing department or a QA department at a manufacturer or a finance department. You could work at a consulting firm where you're doing specific projects, often for organizations, or you could work at a startup. And this is often very different kinds of work. I've spent most of my life working at consulting firms, often those I've founded myself, and I've done a lot of work for IT organizations. I believe that for most people, the best place to start working, and this isn't a hard and fast rule, this is a heuristic, is working for a department. And the reason for this is that if your IT organizations are often very risk averse, they're about keeping things running, and data analysis is often about building new things and moving forward. And there are IT departments that are the exception to that. But I think the most interesting analysis, at least in large organizations, is being done at the departmental level. And while I think consulting is a lot of fun and being project-based is great, and I hope many of you, if you're not there now, will end up there. One of the challenges of doing data analysis work at a consulting firm, unless your firm has long-term relationships with organizations that they consult for, is that to do real game-changing work, you have to be trusted with their most important data. And that's why I think working inside the department is a great place to start. And from there, you might decide to go to a consulting firm or a startup. If we could just go back to that slide.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Valerie. And then you also can choose the type of business that you work for: banks, investment banks, finance. New York has huge financial sectors, huge media sectors. A lot of sports leagues are headquartered here. Healthcare, nonprofits, manufacturing. Manufacturing is not as big in the New York area as other parts of the country. But the type of organization you work for helps define the kind of work that you do. The department that you work for, and finally, an organization's data maturity level. Some organizations are very data adverse, some are data informed, some are data driven. And if you're working for a company that has a strong culture of analytics, in my experience, it's a lot easier and more fun to work there. And so you look for things like, do they have a test and learn approach to their business? Or do they really experiment and have a scientific approach that's data driven to making decisions? And another thing is, do they embrace probabilistic thinking? Do they just want to know that the price of oil is going to be $60 next year? Do they really want to know that it's going to be $60 plus or minus $10 with 95% certainty? And those are, in my experience, two different kinds of organizations. Thanks, Phil.
Awesome. So what are the roles on a data analytics project exactly?
Okay, and this is a laundry list of roles. If you work here in New York for JP Morgan Chase, where one of our faculty members is an executive director, or you work for American Express, both companies have hundreds of people doing advanced analytics work, you are going to have a very tightly defined role. If you're in a startup or a small consulting company or one person embedded in a business unit, you might be doing several of these roles at once. But often a data analyst is working with a business stakeholder and to get the requirements for what's needed. They may be working with a team that includes data scientists and data engineers who operationalize the models that he or she builds. So there can be a large team of people involved. One of the descriptions I've seen of the difference between a business analyst and a data analyst is that a business analyst can take data that other people give him or her and do analysis on it. But a data analyst should be able to go out and get data from relational databases and from unstructured sources and combine it and do the necessary transformation. So it's heavier lifting work, but you can create a lot more value if you can go and get the data yourself. Okay.
Great. So right now, what does the future look like for a data analyst?
Okay. So we're moving from the realm of data to the realm of opinion. I like to think I have a more informed opinion, but I'm being probabilistic here. Short term, it's definitely rosy. In fact, the New York area has more people doing advanced analytics work than any other area in the world right now. Of course, we do have a large population, but it is a very exciting place to be doing analytics work. The work itself, the meetups that have thousands of members and hundreds of attendees at every meeting. Long term, let me say it's more interesting. So three trends that I see that I think are important to understand are, first, that infrastructure work is being pushed more and more to the cloud, that on-premise engineers it's often more effective for organizations to have larger chunks of their work running on Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud Engine. And the benefits of this to data analysts is that it's easier for them to spin up infrastructures without being expert data engineers and operationalizing things. So data analysts, advanced analysts will be able to do more of the data engineering work than in the past with very little additional effort. Additionally, the trend toward better and higher level frameworks like Spark, Databricks, Scikit-learn, Pandas, many more coming, TensorFlow with reusable models, means that a lot of the work that has been historically done by data scientists and today is pretty much restricted to people with a lot of advanced work in math and statistics will be successfully done by advanced analytics data analysts. At the same time, the work from 5 years ago is more commodified. The work that we're doing today, several years in the future, will be done by people with less technical skills, and some of the work will be automated. So we're going to continually need to move upstream in the value stream. it's exciting, demanding work with an ongoing need to keep building new things. And if you go to the next slide, Valerie.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Uh, and I'm going to come back to how I see a data analyst should prepare to do that.
Okay, great. So as of right now, we'll move on to what is the difference between a junior data analyst and a senior data analyst?
Okay. So I think senior data analysts do higher impact work that can really move the needle and change their organizations for the better. And happily, this work also tends to be more engaging and better compensated. One of the interesting things about the field is you'll meet people who are doing this senior level, high impact work who have only been in the field for a couple of years. And you'll see people doing junior level work that have been in the field for 7 years or 10 years. So I've asked myself, why is it that you have two different people with the same amount of experience, and one is doing very interesting work and one is doing much less interesting, when I say important, I mean making the organization better type work. And a lot of that has been built into the design of our program. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
This is a quote from a recent New York Times article by David Brooks, and he's talking about people in general in the employment market, but I think it's as true for data analysts as any other job family. And he says that people who can see problems and organize solutions are the only people that employers will want to hire going forward. And I've asked a lot of people in our field and outside it if they think this is true, and it seems to be, especially among those hiring, pretty. I think this nails what organizations and hiring managers are looking for.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
So why might the Katz School program in data analytics in visualization be the best place for you to jumpstart your career as a data analyst?
Okay, so this is my brief sales pitch, but I very much believe in these things. What are the top reasons to choose our data analytics and visualization program to help you get into a successful career doing high impact advanced analytics work? And next. So first, our programs and courses were all designed from the ground up by successful data practitioners. There's a lot of important research going on at Yeshiva University and elsewhere, and research scientists and research professors are doing important work, but their work is often several removes from the field. And our professors include a data scientist leading cutting edge teams at Ford Motor Company. The executive director runs a team of several hundred SQL developers at JP Morgan Chase, and award-winning consultant who's building Tableau applications for many of the largest companies in the New York area. So we're committed to having staff that understand what's important in the marketplace today and tomorrow, what are the skills that are needed, and what works and what doesn't work. Part of, I think the wrong way to teach this stuff, and different schools, some teach it the right way, and we're not the only school that teaches it the right way, but I think the wrong way is a program or a course that says, these are the 500 things that you need to know. And our approach is to say, given this business problem, given this hypothetical situation, problem to solve, value to create, starting with that and looking at the data, what can we do with our tools? So we really go deep on Python, we go deep on SQL, we work a lot with Excel and Tableau and other tools so that you can go and explore the data, do explanatory work on the data, in the service of increasingly complex business problems. And I think this is the real world experience that is key to making this a successful program. It's also, we emphasize reproducibility, scalability, scientific design of experiments. It's not just a vocational program. We want people to see the patterns of analysis that are going to exist when the tools shift 5 years from now. The goal of our program, that what I've challenged our faculty to do as they design the classes, as they prepare to teach our first set of classes this September, are that we want our graduates to be able to demonstrate to employers, those who are looking for work. Many people in the program are already doing analysis work, are already in companies that they're very happy with and want to do more analytics work for their existing organization. But through the work that they've done, the portfolio of increasingly complex projects they build out across the semesters in as little as 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time, that they can show an employer the equivalent of 5 years of data analytics work experience. And in my consulting role and as a value-added service to companies I work for, including the National Football League, I've interviewed maybe 1,000 people for jobs, and I've developed really strong opinions about what works and what doesn't. And I've learned that hiring managers are a little bit loath to give people who only have academic experience work, and I call it flipping the bozo bit. If someone doesn't do a good job and they get called on the carpet by their boss and says, why did you hire this person? They can say, well, they had 7 years experience. How did I know? So the challenge for someone who is new to the field and breaking into the field, or has been doing just low-level impact work in the field, like maybe just data editing, the challenge is to be able to demonstrate to a potential employer that you understand how to work with complex data. And you do this by showing them your application, showing them your code, presenting your findings and results. And I found this to be very compelling. You still may have to interview for a large number of jobs to get a good job when you're competing against people for 5 years experience. But we want people to come out of this program and go into jobs that are not just data analysis jobs, but these impactful data analysis jobs that really move the meter and help organizations get better.
And I can speak on your last point on behalf of Naima Hernandez, our career service team. And here Naima is academic project manager. So one thing she has talked about is mock interview programs. This is where we can help students prepare for upcoming job interviews, informational interviews, and career fairs. Second, she does work closely with the alumni to foster opportunities for our students and make connections with industry professionals and companies to explore career options for our students. She also provides resume clinics. So students can receive additional resume support to customize for the specific needs in their industries and what exactly companies are looking for. We do have a fair amount of international students, so we offer business communication practicum and individual advising sessions with ESL instructors where students learn to apply communication skills to real-world business situations. Next, university's Career Center. This is where you can help develop Career Center workshops and opportunities for students to network with professionals and learn from guest speakers and get more experience in the work field. And lastly, our student-centered careers. So again, support here provides just a great platform for our graduate students to successfully make that next step of launching their careers. And lastly, if you are interested, here's information on how you can get your application started here at the Katz School. Feel free to call us, or the email address there at katzad@yu.edu. Looks like that's all the time that we have for this webinar. Again, thank you, Andy, for joining us and giving us a great lecture. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks all for coming.